Hi there, good morning everybody. Want to welcome you here to the channel, to the Prog Monster channel. My name is Murph and I am the host of this show. So we're here to do an episode from the series I've been running for the month of January, which is my 31 favorite rock albums released in the year 1973. This is the number one album. This is what everybody's waiting to see what it's going to be. I don't think this is going to be a huge surprise to people who know me, but it definitely is going to be, I guess this is definitely my number one album for the year. Selling England by the Pound, Genesis's fifth studio album, released back in 1973 on October the 5th. It's about 53 minutes, almost 54 minutes in length. That's long for a period album from that time period. But it doesn't feel like that to me. It doesn't feel like a long album. Even though it's outside of my wheelhouse by a full 10 minutes, I still think it's a fantastic album. Obviously, it's my favorite. This is produced by John Burns and Genesis. So it was released back late in the year, their fifth studio album. This features Phil Collins on drums and percussion, Mike Rutherford on bass, Steve Hackett on guitars, all kinds of guitars, Tony Banks on keyboards, and Peter Gabriel on lead vocals. There are 4 tracks on here that are over 8 minutes in length. I don't think that occurs on any of their other albums. Although Lamb Lies Down, there may be that because they have a lot more songs on the album. So I could be wrong. But this one has some of my favorite Genesis stuff on it. You got Dancing with the Moonlit Night that opens up this album. Absolutely great, incredible song. It's about 8 minutes in length. Perfect song. I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe. This is probably one of my top 10 favorite Genesis songs. It's what I would call a deep cut, but it's just such a great song. Like, it just captures the imagination every time I hear it. Firth of Fifth, sorry, got it backwards there. This is a great tune. Definitely one of the more well-known great Genesis songs. Perfect for everything. More Fool Me is the only track on here I don't really like. It just to me just doesn't feel like it belongs on the album. I know some people like it. It's the one song that Phil Collins sings on the album, but I never cared for it. I do like Phil Collins, as many people know, but just not this particular track. The next one up is that very British, almost Monty Python-ish Battle of Epic Forest, which is just absolutely great. The use of his words on this, the way in which he sings the song, just absolutely British feel to it, all over it. After the Ordeal, another great tune. Doesn't get, maybe it's not as noticed as much as some of the other songs on the album, but still really good. And then we get to what's my favorite song on the album, The Cinema Show. Maybe my favorite Genesis song, period. And this album has continued to grow with me over the length of the time I've been listening to it. It's challenged Trick of the Tail many times for that number one spot. But from the Peter Gabriel era album, it's definitely the number one. Although Foxtrot and Nursery Crime and Trespass are all really solid albums too. I've never really warmed up as much to The Lamb as other people have. And I think primarily because it's a bit too long for my indulgence. But overall, just all of those albums are great. This one is just particularly a favorite. And it's going to be number one here for my favorite 31 albums of the year 1973. This is my number one album for that year. Winning out over Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, not because it's a better album than Dark Side of the Moon, but because it's one that I enjoy a little bit more. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. Enough that it's not really all that close, really. So that's my choice for today. I hope you've enjoyed this series for the month of January. I've wanted to do this for some time. I'm happy to get it done. So we will do an honorable mentions later today. And also we will start the new series tomorrow, which is which will be a kind of an unusual series, I guess. So we're going to start out with the album Heaven and Hell. And from that, we will pick either one of the musicians on the album or the producer, and I'll move forward to an album that person was on next. Now, I could go to the next Black Sabbath, but not likely going to happen. So I've kind of mapped out where I'm going to go with this. So I guess for you guys, it's a little bit of a challenge to try to figure out where I might go with this or who I might pick with this. Could go in a few directions here. Anyways, that's how we're going to run this next series, where I'm going to pick an artist from the album we did for the day, and they'll move that artist to another band or another artist, another album that they were on as well. Not necessarily the whole group of musicians that were on the first. Like, not everybody on Heaven Hell is going to be on the next one, and that's how I'm gonna kind of marry each day that way as we go forward. I just wanted to do something a little bit different rather than just do this status quo stuff. I wanted to do something that was maybe a little bit unusual. So I'm going to try this out. And February is actually a pretty good month to do this in because it's only got 28 days. So if it turns out not to be that big of a hit, we're only doing it for 3 or 4 weeks and then it's done. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode and this series, and we will see you all tomorrow, or later today, for the final episode of the series for the month, and then we start a new one tomorrow. So take care, have yourself a good evening, a good day, and goodbye.